The wind was cold, whispering through the dark forests of Germany. Smoke drifted above the trees, carrying the scent of iron and blood. The Roman army stood ready, shields raised, eyes fixed, hearts steady. At their front sat their commander, Maximus Decimus Meridius. Tall, rugged, his armor dusty and scarred, yet his gaze was unshaken. He knew this battle would decide the fate of Rome's northern frontier, perhaps even its peace. He held the reins of his horse, raised his sword to the sky, and spoke, his voice deep and steady. Brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity. Today, we fight not just for Rome, but for our homes, our wives, and our children. Stand firm, and when you meet your ancestors, tell them you fought like Romans. The soldiers roared, their cry breaking through the silence of the woods. Drums thundered. Arrows darkened the sky. And the forest erupted into chaos. Maximus charged forward, cutting through the enemy like a storm. Swords clashed, shields splintered, and blood soaked the snow. When the battle ended, smoke rose from the trees, the Romans had won. But there was no pride in Maximus' eyes. He looked at the bodies around him and murmured, "How many victories before peace finally comes?" That night, in the emperor's tent, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, sat alone, staring at the stars. His face was old and weary, his breath slow and shallow. He knew his time was ending. He ordered his guards to summon Maximus. When Maximus entered, he knelt, but the old emperor motioned for him to rise. "You have once again brought glory to Rome, my friend," said Marcus softly. "But tell me, Maximus, what do you want now?" "I want to go home," Maximus replied. "To my wife, my son, and my farm. I have fought enough wars." Marcus smiled faintly. "I know, my son. But there is one more duty I must ask of you. Rome is sick. The Senate is weak, and my son Commodus, he is not ready to rule. When I am gone, I want you to take my place, not as emperor, but as protector of Rome. You must return power to the people." Maximus was stunned. "Me? I'm just a soldier." "Exactly," Marcus said. "You have no hunger for power. That is why you must leave." Later that night, Commodus, the emperor's son, entered the tent. His eyes were hopeful, his voice trembling with emotion. He knelt before his father. "Father," he said, "have I ever done anything to make you love me less?" Marcus looked at him, sadness in his eyes. "Your faults are your own, my son. You seek power when you should seek virtue." Commodus's voice cracked. "All I wanted was your love." Marcus placed a trembling hand on his son's face. "I loved you, but that was never enough to make you a good man." Commodus's embrace turned into a thrill. His tears became rage. And before dawn, Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor of Rome, was dead, suffocated by the very son he had tried to save. By morning, an announcement echoed through the Roman camp. "The great emperor Marcus Aurelius has passed. Long live Emperor Commodus." Trumpets blared. Soldiers cheered. But Maximus stood still, his heart uneasy. Something about Marcus' death didn't feel right. Commodus summoned him to the royal tent. "My father loved you like a son," Commodus said, forcing a smile. "Now, I ask for your loyalty, kneel before your emperor." Maximus met his eyes. "I serve Rome, not you." Commodus's face turned cold. "Then you are no friend of Rome." That night, Maximus was arrested. Commodus gave a single order. "Take him far into the woods. Kill him. Then burn his wife and son. Leave no trace." Bound and beaten, Maximus was dragged to the edge of the forest. The soldiers drew their swords, but they had underestimated him. In a flash, he broke free, seized a blade, and cut them down. Bloodied and wounded, he rode into the night. He galloped for days, bleeding, half-mad with exhaustion, until finally, he reached his home. Smoke rose from the distance. His heart froze. He ran. The gate was broken. The fields burned. And there, before him, hung his wife, crucified. His little boy lay dead beside her. Maximus fell to his knees. He couldn't scream. He couldn't breathe. The world around him dissolved into silence. He gathered the ashes in his hands and whispered, "My home, my heart, my life." Then darkness took him. When he awoke, he was no longer in his home. He was chained inside a wooden cart, surrounded by strangers, slaves, merchants, and guards. The sun blazed above him, and the desert winds blew hot and dry. A slave trader laughed and said, "This one's strong. He'll fight well in Zuchabal. A good prize for a gladiator." Maximus closed his eyes. The general of Rome was gone. Now, he was only a slave. A man with nothing left to lose. The sun blazed over the desert as the cart rumbled through dust and heat. Inside, chained and half-conscious, lay Maximus Decimus Meridius, once a general of Rome, now a nameless slave. His bones burned, his mind drifted between grief and rage. In flashes, he saw the faces of his wife and son, their laughter, their final screams, the smoke of their burning home. Then he closed his eyes. Only one word echoed in his heart: vengeance. The cart reached the slave markets of Zuchabal, a hush city ruled by greed and spectacle. The slave trader, Proximo, a once great gladiator himself, studied Maximus with a knowing smile. "He's strong, but broken," Proximo said. "Let's see if Rome's general can survive the sack." And so began Maximus' second life, not as a soldier of Rome, but as a gladiator of blood and dust. The arena roared. Chains clinked. Men fought not for glory, but for life. Maximus fought with instinct, silent, precise, deadly. His skill, forged in real war, made him unstoppable. The crowd began to notice. They cheered for the nameless warrior who fought like a god of death. But Maximus did not hear their praise. He fought for one purpose only: to live long enough to meet Commodus again. One night, as the torches flickered low, Proximo approached him. "You are not like the others. You fight with anger, not for freedom." Maximus replied coldly, "Freedom will come when the man who murdered my family is dead." Proximo smiled. "Then you may get your chance. The new emperor is calling all champions to Rome. He wants blood for the people." The words struck Maximus like lightning. Rome. Commodus. The gates to his vengeance were opening. Weeks later, Maximus and his small group of fighters arrived in Rome, the city he once served, now drowning in decadence and fear. The Colosseum towered before him, a mountain of stone and screens. Tens of thousands filled the stands. At the emperor's throne sat Commodus, draped in gold, a smile cold as steel. The games began. Maximus entered the arena masked, leading a band of gladiators against impossible odds: chariots, archers, tigers, chaos. But he commanded them like soldiers. Within minutes, the sand was red and the crowd was on its feet. When silence fell, Commodus stood and called out, "Slave, remove your helmet. Tell us your name." Maximus turned slowly. His eyes burned with fury. He removed his helmet, revealing his scarred face. The crowd gasped. Even Commodus froze. Maximus spoke with quiet fire. "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife. And I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next." The arena fell silent. Commodus's smile faded. For the first time, the emperor of Rome felt fear. The crowd's cheers thundered across the Colosseum, but Commodus was silent. He stared at Maximus, the man he thought was dead, standing alive before him, defying him in front of all Rome. The emperor's lips trembled. He forced a smile and turned to the people. "This man once fought for the glory of Rome," he announced. "And now he fights for your entertainment. Honor him." The crowd roared for Maximus, not for their emperor. Commodus smiled outwardly, but inside, his heart burned with pain. That night, he stood before the mirror, his reflection twisting with anger. "He steals their love, my Rome's love," Commodus whispered. He struck the mirror with his fist. He knew what he had to do: destroy Maximus, not with sword, but with control. So he plotted. He visited Maximus in the dungeons, surrounded by guards, pretending calm. "We are brothers still," he said softly. "Rome loves you. Fight for me once more, and you will be free." Maximus stared through him like through smoke. "You killed my family. You murdered my emperor. I will not fight for you." Commodus leaned closer, whispering with venom. "You will fight, or they will die." And from the shadows stepped Lucilla, Commodus's sister, once Maximus' secret love, her eyes filled with silent fear. Behind her, a child, her son, Lucius. Maximus' heart clenched. He understood. Commodus would use them both. Days passed. Each game grew bloodier, each victory louder. But beneath the sand and steel, rebellion stirred. Maximus' courage became a symbol. The slaves whispered his name. The senators began to hope. Rome was remembering honor. Proximo, the old gladiator who once bought Maximus, came to him one night. "I once met your emperor," he said quietly. "He told me, 'Win the crowd, and you'll win your freedom.'" He handed Maximus a small sword. "Now, win Rome." The next day, Commodus prepared one final spectacle, a duel to entertain the gods. And his opponent was Maximus. The emperor entered the arena in gleaming armor, but fear hid behind his smile. Before the fight, he walked to Maximus, embraced him, and secretly stabbed him in the ribs, hiding the wound beneath his armor. "Fight well," he whispered. The horns blew. The gates closed. The crowd roared. The two men circled each other, emperor and slave, tyrant and hero. Maximus bled beneath his armor, but his eyes never left Commodus. With every strike, he forced the emperor backward. The crowd began to chant his name. "Maximus! Maximus!" Commodus, desperate, called for a sword, but none of his guards dared to move. He stood alone. Maximus disarmed him with one final blow. The emperor fell to his knees, gasping. Maximus raised his blade but dropped it. He would not kill for pleasure, not like Commodus. Instead, he turned, walked a few steps, and Commodus lunged with a hidden dagger. Maximus caught his hand, twisted, and drove the dagger into Commodus's throat. The emperor of Rome collapsed, choking on his own deceit. Maximus staggered, the world fading around him. He looked up at the sky and saw the fields of his home, his wife, and his son waiting for him in the light. He fell to the ground as Lucilla rushed forward, crying, "Go to them, Maximus. You are free." The crowd rose in silence. A senator shouted, "Honor him. He was a soldier of Rome." And so they carried him from the arena, not as a slave, not as a gladiator, but as a free man. The arena lay silent. The dust had settled, the blood had dried, and the echoes of the crowd faded into memory. In the center of the Colosseum lay Maximus Decimus Meridius, once a general, once a slave, and now something far greater. A symbol of Rome's lost honor. Lucilla knelt beside him, tears tracing the dust on her face. She whispered softly, "He was a soldier of Rome. Let him be remembered not as a slave, but as a savior." The guards and senators bowed their heads. Even the common people, who moments ago screamed for blood, now stood in reverent silence. For the first time, Rome had witnessed a victory not of power, but of principle. That night, the torches burned low across the city. Commodus's banners were torn down, and his name erased from the marble walls. Lucilla took her son, Lucius, by the hand and looked toward the stars. "There was once a man who believed that Rome could be just again," she said. "Remember his name, my son. Remember what he stood for." Far beyond the city, in the quiet fields of Spain, the wind swept gently over green wheat. A hand brushed through it, strong, familiar. Maximus walked barefoot through the fields of his dreams. Ahead, his wife smiled, and his son ran into his arms. The pain was gone. The war was over. Back in Rome, Senator Gracchus addressed the people. "The emperor is dead. Rome shall be a republic once more." This was the wish of Marcus Aurelius, and the final gift of his general. The crowd applauded, not in wild cheers, but in solemn gratitude. They had seen true courage, and it had changed them. The next morning, Proximo, the old gladiator, was found dead among his warriors, smiling faintly. By his side lay a small wooden figure of a man with a sword, a token Maximus once carried. Perhaps even the old master had found these. And so ended the story of Maximus Decimus Meridius. He came to Rome a slave, fought as a gladiator, and died as a free man. But his spirit lived on. In every soldier who fought with honor. In every citizen who dared to speak the truth. And in every heart that believed that a man's worth is not in his title, but in his courage. As the final sun set over Rome, the whisper of the crowd returned, soft, eternal, unforgettable. Maximus! Maximus!